people who are not in our industry who want to open restaurants, it's kind of like, hey, just I'd love to bend your ear for an hour, and just kind of let you know what you sign up for, right? Because it's a wonderful business. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't see myself doing anything else. But if you don't love the business, you have to love hospitality. You have to love food. You have to love training
risk.
people.
There's a risk too. Like you gotta love risk.
You also have to love, a little chaos.
Hey folks, I'm Brooks Derrick, and this is A Lawyer, His Friends, and Food. A show about local business owners, their journeys, and the thing that brings people closer together, food. On today's episode, how a couple guys from Spartanburg, South Carolina, opened Willy Taco on their own dime and methodically grew it into a thriving hospitality group with 3 different concepts, 5 restaurants, and 2 more on the way. Kenneth Cribb spent most of his young adult life running from the restaurant business. He worked at a think tank, was a professional tennis instructor, and even took the LSAT and applied to law school. But while Kenneth ran from the restaurant business initially, Chris Olson leaned into his love for food, hospitality, and a little chaos, working for Applebees for over 25 years. So where did the Willy Taco concept originate, and how did these guys, on seemingly different trajectories, cross paths and turn their group into the culinary force that it is today? Well, let's find out.
All right.
But I was substitute teaching at my old high school.
I did that in Porter-Gaud a little bit when I was
I love
before
it.
law school.
Yeah, and had a lot of quiet time to study for the LSAT. Took the LSAT, did okay enough to start applying to some law schools, and then I had this epiphany that I didn't want to be a lawyer. So, like so many other people, started kind of going through.
It's good that you made that decision, had that epiphany before $100,000 in debt.
Yeah, no kidding. That was one of the driving forces. And so my uncle, who was head of a nonprofit educational organization up in Wilmington, Delaware, offered me the chance to apply for an entry-level position with their think tank, and I ended up getting the job and doing that for a few years, and working on college campuses all over the country, meeting and greeting with students and professors, and I was surrounded by PhDs, and it was a really great learning experience.
That's something I did not learn on my internet research of you and my social media research.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, tell me about you. Where are you from?
From Spartanburg as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, born in outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I tell people I've lived down here long enough to be a Southerner.
Okay.
But I don't like sweet tea, so
I feel like half Southern, right?
Yeah, half Southern.
Is this open or not open?
But
open.
also went to Spartan High. Went to McCracken. Went to Jesse Boyd. We moved down here when I was in elementary school, so kind of bounced around.
Sorry.
Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers.
Not to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Just to do this and.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah,
cow,
yeah.
Batman.
Those are delicious.
It's an easy way to charge $4.50 for a can of beer.
I give away our secrets.
That's right. That's dynamite, right?
Yeah.
Golly.
We keep hot sauce in the fridge just for those occasions.
Wow. That could make a pile of poop taste good, I think, probably.
Well,
Or a cold pile.
yeah.
I'm
That is
gonna
so
cancel my
nice.
food order. After that comment.
That is dynamite. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Go. So McCracken, how old, are you older than Kenneth?
Yep.
When did you finish high school?
92.
92. So I'm 93. I'm a Malden Maverick 93.
Okay.
You got a year on me. I feel like you look a lot younger than me. I feel like you look better than I do.
This guy's aging
It's just-
well,
it's
right?
just- It's just the light.
He's like professional lighting in here.
He's like a resident Scott Baio, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Daniel
I love
LaRusso.
it. Yes, I love it.
I don't know. Have you seen the Cobra Kai series?
You've
He's
aged a
looking
lot better than
looking
him.
a little rough.
That's true.
But I went to Spartan High, graduated in 92.
Okay.
Went to, back when Coastal Carolina was part of the USC system, went to Coastal because going to school at Myrtle Beach was a great idea, right?
Yeah, it was.
But actually really enjoyed it there, but only went there a year and then decided to transfer up here to USC. Back then it was USC Spartanburg.
Mm-hmm.
But was running ran through high school, was running into college on a scholarship, so enjoyed.
Was that, when you say running, were you running long distance?
Cross country,
Cross country, okay.
Cross country.
I'm a soccer, I played soccer at Gardner Webb. I'm a soccer kid. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then worked in the restaurant through high school and through college. Have always been a restaurant guy.
Yep.
Started at this hole-in-the-wall fish camp called Tony's Seafood in Spartanburg when I was 14. So under the table. They're not in business anymore, so we're not getting anybody in trouble. Long gone. Nobody even know who they are. But that's kind of where I cut my teeth, and then just enjoyed it. For one, I mean, there was always new things to learn. Just it was fun. It was high energy, fast paced.
Yeah.
Started out in the dining room, bussing tables, and then working my way into washing dishes, and then it's kind of the standard trajectory for people starting out in restaurant at a young age. You start out washing dishes, and then you kind of work your way up to the cook line, and so that was fun.
One day to get on the French fries, right?
That's right. That's right. And one
It's like
day,
a scene from Coming to America.
and then one day to the cash register, right?
I'm watching lettuce now.
That's right. Let us now.
But
That's exactly what was going through my mind.
had a buddy that I was working with at this restaurant called Charleston's in Spartanburg, which was kind of like an elevated Quincy's. Had seafood on the buffet back in the buffet.
Nice. Okay.
Boom,
I like an elevated Quincy's.
which is and so he and I grew a good friendship, and then he got on board with an up and coming casual dining concept where you kind of had to know somebody to get your foot in the door, and he helped me get on board there, and just stayed on the corporate side of the restaurant industry for 25 years, and then learned a lot, really enjoyed it, but got to a point in my life where wanted to do something different.
Yep.
And so just met with Kenneth and the rest of the team, and decided it was time to take a jump.
When you meet Kenneth, are you working? Where are you working at that moment in time?
I was working at Applebees.
At Applebees, okay. And how long had you been at Applebees when you?
The whole 25 years.
Oh, okay. So I didn't pick up the Applebees part. So you went from Charleston's place into Applebee's, and the Applebees place.
Started working at Applebee's when I was in college, and then when I finished college, just stayed on board.
Wow. Okay.
Stayed on board for a long time. Just rode the ladder as far as I could with that company. And this was here it is, 2021. If you put yourself back into 1994 or 95, I mean, that was the coolest place in town to go.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean,
the very first time I ever had honey mustard on a French fry was at the Applebee's near Haywood Road, and it was like, and going there for me, that was a special, like.
It was a special occasion.
It's like going to hibachi back then. It was like we went there for birthdays. Now it's like we get it delivered to the house every 2 or 3 weeks. Wow.
So really enjoyed it. Think a lot of that group, and learned a lot.
Yep.
But just for me personally, just looked to do something different at that time. Spent a lot of my life with them, and they helped. So good up here, guys? Yeah, we're great.
Perfect. Thank you, my friend.
I'm forever grateful for what they provided for me. I mean, they raised my kids.
Yeah.
But
how old are your kids?
Well, that's a good question. I've got 5, so they're 26, 22, 19, 15, and 9.
Holy cow, Batman. That is
It's quite the spread.
Yes. I have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and one on the way.
Congratulations.
The third one arrives in February. So I did not get a head start. You got a head start on me.
Well, we got a head start, but then kept on going, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, okay. So let's switch
Yeah.
the lanes here. You are working you said is that your uncle got this job?
Yeah.
You're going all over the place. When did what's the next job after that?
And I had worked in restaurants as a young person. My first
like in high
job,
school or something like that?
Yeah. My first job was also kind of under the table. Yeah, I was supposed to be 16. I lied on my application and said I was 15. And that was working at the Peddler Steak House. And I was hired on to wash dishes and bus tables. My nickname was Half-Ass. If that tells you if that's any good indication for how well I performed.
How great you were.
And I was called in one day, and my boss said, "I've got some good news and some bad news. Maybe good news and good news, actually." He's like, "The good news is you're killing it as a busboy. We're gonna keep you on. You know, you're gonna be our busboy now. The bad news, or probably good news to you, is that you've been fired as a dishwasher." and that was like music in my ears.
I can't have two jobs, sir. I just need one job.
Well, I
dedicate myself to one job.
I was a spoiled kid that didn't have to do a lot of chores, and so getting my hands dirty washing dishes initially was just not something that came natural to me. I did take another dishwashing job after that, and actually loved it. And at times was working with my brother William, who stayed in the industry full-time focused, became an amazing chef, restaurateur, and I know we'll get to him at some point in this story, but worked in a few other restaurants as well through my high school years. By the time I went to college, I really had to kind of like be poor and get an allowance and excel in the classroom, or work and not do well in the classroom. I just couldn't multitask. So
that was evident at the Peddler.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, totally. Yes, I had to stick to one thing and do it well. You know, and in the dining room, bussing tables is my expertise to this day. Right. But anyway, yeah, always had an affinity for the restaurant biz. Didn't know I'd necessarily be doing it professionally, but I'm just really glad the way things have unfolded.
Yep. So how do you make that transition from I'm doing this with Uncle, traveling all over the place?
Sure. Well, I had done it for a few years. You know, I hit a ceiling because you know, he was my uncle, he was the president, you know, we had the same name, and just, you know, politically, you know, nepotism, you know, I had the talents to keep climbing the ladder there, and I had the interest, but it just wasn't the right thing. And after a few years, had a death in the family. My grandfather, he was the patriarch, our best friend. He passed away, and just really wanted to get back closer to home. Nice, look at that. Oh, heck yeah.
Ah, nice.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Wow.
Thanks, Hunter. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, two of our best right here. Dang.
Did you tell
I need a shovel.
the people back there that the owners were eating?
Way more than I can handle.
Make sure this is good. The owners are eating this food.
But it was a down economy, and so instead of relocating in my current profession, I reached out to some folks that were directors of tennis at various country clubs in South Carolina.
You played tennis as a kid?
That's my first love. Oh yeah,
Okay.
I played competitive tennis, you know, from like 8 to 18, and it was my first love.
Also did not uncover that on the internet.
I still teach tennis to this day.
No way.
On the side, about 10 hours a week. And it's definitely a big passion of mine. And so relocated as a full-time tennis teaching professional at the Forest Lake Club in Columbia. Thought I'd do that for 6 months to a year, you know, had a blast. And did it for 2+ years. At the time, my brother William was starting to make some waves in the Spartanburg restaurant scene.
Okay. Is this when he starts the catering company?
He started the catering
about this time?
company, yeah.
Okay.
And then ultimately started his restaurant on Spring Street, the tiny Cribb's Kitchen.
Okay.
Was relocating to the current location, which is about 3 times the size.
Right.
Needed all the good help he could find. We were talking one day, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm about to expand like tremendously. you want to come help?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, yeah, actually, I've got a good reason now to work with my bro, in an industry that I really actually like, and I'm back in Spartanburg with family, and it was music to my ears. It was new and exciting, and I was hired as a bartender, and I actually worked in some restaurants in Columbia on the side when I was a tennis pro. I worked primarily at this place called Mio's, an Asian fusion restaurant in the front of house, tending bar and serving. They hired me on as a bartender at Cribb's Kitchen. I was part of the opening crew. We worked a lot of long hours. Our front of house manager just didn't quite make it through the initial stages of opening. And I said, well, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And William was like, well, let me talk to my partners, sounds good to me. I know you got the right stuff.
Yeah.
And they offered me the position, and I helped run that restaurant for a few years. And we saw some really good success. From a business standpoint, we didn't really know what the hell we were doing. There was not a soul over the age of 30. We were all in our 20s. We didn't understand things like food cost. We didn't really do a lot of inventory. But my brother is amazing with food, and I know how to work a dining room.
What was when y'all are doing? What was the first thing that kind of like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. What was some of those like lessons that you're learning? What are those lessons?
Well, so ultimately we teamed up, and
let's dive in.
Ultimately, we teamed up with just a restaurant pioneer, Bill Burton, and so we're going through.
So does he help y'all a little bit with Cribb's Kitchen?
No.
Oh,
this
okay.
is the next restaurant company that we started, Hub City Hospitality, which is Willy Taco, Freight Yard, and Flock Shop.
So, but just focusing on, keep you focused a little bit on the Cribb's Kitchen thing. How long is that just the two of y'all, or maybe not just two of y'all?
Well, it was William and two partners, and I was helping out from a managerial standpoint. So there was a small, we had a really awesome kitchen manager as well. So there were about 5 of us that were kind of running.
When does the seeds for this place, not this place, but the Spartanburg location, when did the seeds start getting planted for that?
Yeah,
and we'll dive into this thing.
of course.
This is the smash burger.
Double Mexican smash burger. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
I got that.
Well, so again, we're developing a good reputation for running a really, really great restaurant and providing excellent food and good service, and just a fun locally owned place to eat and drink in downtown Spartanburg. We were noticed.
Oh man,
nice. Yeah, that's a good.
Oh my God.
Good handheld right there.
Yeah, it's fun.
Something about
what else in there? Chorizo?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 chorizo, Angus beef patty, guacamole.
This is amazing.
Jack cheese.
Glad you like it. Yeah.
I mean, anything that's got cheese and guacamole like dripping off my fingers when I'm eating it is just has to be amazing. God.
Yeah, it's a fun burger.
But yeah, we got noticed by a restaurant pioneer. And as we're kind of courting each other.
So good.
You just tell me when, Brooks.
I know. I'm sorry. It's so good. Right mouth spice.
Yeah, we're hoping a version of that's going to make the next menu. We've been really pleased with that.
Wait. Okay, so back to, I'm so distracted now. When did the seeds start getting planted for the Willy Taco?
Well, pretty immediately, actually. I mean, William has always loved this kind of food, elevated Tex-Mex or elevated, initially it was kind of a Southwestern, Tex-Mex kind of center plate, elevated concept that we wanted to call Serrano's. I mean, it was just,
that was a Serrano's thing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, even that's getting ahead, because basically it was William and Bill that started talking about wanting to do something together, and then I was brought on.
How did y'all meet Bill? How did y'all meet Bill?
Bill is, Spartanburg's a small town,
Yep.
and Bill went to our church. Our parents knew the Burtons.
He's a Spartan Foods guy, is that right?
Yeah, he was, and ultimately bought into and helped grow Cafe Enterprises, Fats Cafe.
Right. Okay.
And they, I think when he got involved, they had a handful of stores only, or like 2, and they, over the course of the next 15 years.
Where did that start?
In the early 90s.
I mean, where? Was it is it here?
It's Spartanburg.
In
Spartanburg, okay.
yeah.
That place has like a very big like nostalgic connection to me and my family. I didn't know if it was a Spartanburg thing. Me and my grandparents would go there all the time when I was I guess I was in college. Was that the 90s when that opened up? Is that right?
Yeah.
And even when they were growing, it still had this feeling like it was still like a local place.
Yeah,
for
for sure.
The food was still really high quality. The food never went like to crap. It didn't seem like. But go ahead. Sorry. So he goes to.
Went to our church,
Yep,
and,
okay.
and he was noticing William as a young chef, restaurateur, and they slowly started talking and developing a friendship, and slowly our team was being built. Right,
Yep.
I joined. Eric Holman, who was one of Bill's executives.
How did y'all meet him?
Joined. Well, Bill brought him on.
Okay.
I mean, he was one of Bill's vice presidents,
Right.
and
I'm telling you, this is phenomenal.
it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, we're
And
real
it's something
proud
I
of
never would have. I would have gone taco to come here, and I got
Sure.
taco.
Glad you went that
Yeah.
direction. But so we're going through the whole process of kind of courting each other. And,
Yep.
one of the and Bill's a very savvy businessman, and one of the questions he asked us was, well, can I see a P&L? And William and I were like thinking to ourselves, what the hell's a P&L? And we're like, oh man, no, we don't have one of those. And what's your food cost? And we're like.
And this is all at Cribb's Kitchen, right? This is all at Cribb's Kitchen.
Right. So, we would come up with, or William would come up with a really awesome sandwich or burger or entree and read off the ingredients and it reads like poetry on the menu, right? It really sings and just slap some arbitrary price tag on it, sounds like a $8 wrap to me, $16.95, for the shrimp and grits, it's like.
It's driving somewhere inside of you is driving you crazy thinking about this, right?
I mean, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, right. So,
but I bet you also have to appreciate, that style, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It worked. I mean, Cribb's just announced they're going to open their second location, which is amazing. But so Bill quickly realized that, hey, these guys are talented, but it's raw talent, especially from the
parenting.
restaurant business side of things.
Yeah.
And so we all just started going to school. First of all, developing our concept. Over time, it became evident that we wanted to do something like a chef-driven, sort of fusion taco concept with some other offerings as well, but with fresh margaritas, just a fun, high-energy atmosphere, kind of like Taco Boy in Charleston.
Right.
There was a place down in Jacksonville, Florida that was really
Taco Lou.
It was very inspiring to us. The idea evolved, just like the team evolved, and we were starting to write our first menu. We hadn't quite decided on a name or a logo.
Sorry, I remember when Taco Boy came to Charleston, or was when it started in Charleston, whatever. It was like this, it was just like
that's huge. The Rev Group, yeah.
Just like the frozen screwdrivers and all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, going out there and going to the one out on Folly was just like music, just magic.
They're the godfathers of our kind of concept in South Carolina.
Yeah.
We have a lot of respect for them.
Mex One, I guess, is kind of in that little bit.
Yeah, we visited Mex One too. This is all in early 2013, late 2012, early 2013. We're visiting places like Mex One, like Taco Boy, like Salsa in Asheville, Taco Lou down in Florida.
In hindsight, it seems like an obvious concept, right? Like this is genius, but like when you're in that moment in time, you're still like, I don't know. Is it going to take up here? Is it going to?
Oh yeah.
Spartanburg have it in them?
Yeah, that was a big consideration. Was, will Spartanburg get it? I mean, it's unproven to us,
right?
And it's definitely unproven to the market.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, Spartanburg is not full of tequila drinkers or connoisseurs
that we know of.
I mean,
or that we knew of back then.
Spartanburg at the time was used to getting, you know, tacos at Taco Bell or at Monterey's, you know, or you know, the local, you know, Mexican kind of place, you know, and
all great places at the right time for
right,
me too.
and we're selling, you know, $4 a la carte tacos and you know, $9 margaritas. I mean, we're wondering if we're going to get eaten a lot. I mean, and we have to because it's quality ingredients, you know, that's prepared with the fresh of ingredients from scratch. So, I mean, you know, we got to make our margins.
So how as you're creating this concept and everything, when do y'all start to like say, when does it kind of, I guess, the boat get on the course? Where we got like all kind of Minority Report thing. We got all these things going on.
Yeah.
Right?
When we opened with a big boom. And people seemed really impressed.
And that's 13, right?
This is November 13. November of 13. And you know, the branding was so tight compared to other mom and pop restaurants that a lot of folks were wondering, hey, is this like a chain or is this a franchise? And it wasn't. It was original. And you know, we experienced our normal kind of sophomore slump that all restaurants experience, you know, and after the honeymoon phase kind of wore off. And then it became time to really roll our sleeves up, refine the menu, refine the service, start to.
What does that look like? What does the blocking and tackling look like for that? When you, like, I don't know if I'm asking that question right, but like.
No, you are,
the details of that, how does that work?
Well, you necessarily have to open with a huge staff, right? So you necessarily have warm bodies on the roster, especially when you're a brand new concept like us. So over time, it's, you know, kind of refining the roster, you know, starting to get just some really awesome people. And
that's front of the house,
develop
back
that
of the house.
Totally. You know, we started working on our second menu.
How big is that space in comparison to the Cribb's kitchen space? Or is that a substantially bigger staff that needs to be in the Willy Taco space in Spartanburg, or is it?
Well, that's not even comparing apples to apples, honestly, because you know, we were learning at that point in time kind of how to run a restaurant the right way. And that's a good point. That's a really good point. But
and you've got at that point in time you've got Bill helping, and that is Eric. Is that also he's involved in?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, another guy named Richard Heatley.
That's right.
Who was heavily involved in marketing and concept development, and was just a real luminary from an ideas standpoint. Hadn't really worked in restaurants, but his passion was, you know, was going to restaurants on the other side of the aisle and just nerded out on concepts. And he's more involved kind of in the real estate side of things today, but was definitely a big proponent of
Did y'all the partners that came in, are y'all bringing all of your own money into that?
We fully funded at different levels, but we didn't borrow a dime. It was, you know, it was Bill kind of teaching us how to start a business from the ground up. You know, he didn't have all the answers. I mean, he let the thing kind of unfold organically, naturally, but you know, with the things that must happen, you know, there's got to be levels of investment. You've got to have skin in the game, right? We were able to scrounge together all the money that we needed, and we really did open the first Willy Taco on a shoestring budget, especially compared to where we're sitting right now. You know, this place where we're sitting right now literally cost 2.5 times what the first. So three times.
When you're going to go back to where you're starting to kind of like sophomore slump, we're trying to figure out staff. What other things are y'all looking at? Like, what are the unexpected twists of that new restaurant that you're trying to
problems you're trying to solve there?
Right. Well, just again, just getting the very best people that we can. Building a stellar team that knows how to blow our guests away, that can be good ambassadors of this brand that we're cultivating. The beginnings of a culture, honestly.
Right. Okay.
Being kind of revolutionary as far as how we treat people, but also how we allow for individuality and self-expression and kind of a hipness and an edginess, kind of inoculating all of that under our roof, and then starting a really nice array of specials, of monthly specials, and just really going to school on those, and then ultimately devising a second and a third menu that's comprised in some way of some of our best specials that receive kind of the most praise from our client base, and just kind of raising the bar across the board.
Chris, are you visiting this place? Are you eating there? What are you thinking as a restaurant guy? Just do you know these guys at all? Do you have a relationship? Like maybe how did you're seeing this crazy thing that just launched and is going gangbusters. What are you thinking from the floors of Applebees? What like?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, in my perspective, is just so different than what I'm used to seeing. I mean, it was original. It was authentic. It was. Yeah, we're great. Appreciate it. Kind of to follow up on what Kenneth was saying with the development of the culture. I mean, it was a place where people were having fun, not just the guests because we're having beer and margaritas, but the staff seems to be having a good time, right? It's just a neat feeling when you walk into that Willy Taco, and still now, same thing here. But
so when you are, when do y'all start? So this. You go 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
When do y'all start thinking, hey, let's open another spot? B, that spot might be in Greenville. How does that go?
Well, we knew Bill's track record, and Bill admitted from early on that he was not interested in starting a single restaurant. He was interested in getting a team together and growing a restaurant company, which
Which explains all the people that y'all got together. If he was just in one place, it'd been the three of y'all and focused.
Yes, and the kind of the partnership team has grown beyond that, and our general team has grown tremendously. But growth was always a goal of Bill's, and we knew we wanted to open that second one. Every shred of profitability was going back into the operating account. We were saving our money for a rainy day.
So when you say you're going back into the operating account, that money is not going back out to marketing. It's you're earmarking that and saying this is invest.
We're putting in the piggy bank.
We're waiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're growing our.
You hear people say that a lot of times, like I'm just going to put all my profit back into my business, right? But like just the logistics of what that means.
It was literally growing in an account. Waiting for the next restaurant.
Amazing.
And so we did notice that a lot of folks from the upstate, including Greenville, were coming to see us in Spartanburg.
Yep.
It's a little unusual when Greenville comes to Spartanburg to eat. It's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
And then we stumbled upon this feed and seed building, and it became evident that that's what we wanted to do and that's where we wanted to go. We have generous parking here compared to downtown Greenville, for instance, and we just had a lot of confidence in this market.
When do y'all? I guess y'all bring Chris on as a GM of this place, right? Like he's not coming in initially as a partner, equity partner, or whatever. Like he's coming to.
Bill and Steve Corson, who is a partner of ours that is retired now, but he was heavily involved in HR and IT and other things. They interviewed nearly 100 candidates for this position, and that's out of 200 applicants for this position. But they didn't see a single store operator when searching for this person. I mean,
that makes sense.
They ultimately. Chris was at the top of the list.
You know those guys at all? I think I asked it all. Did you know any of those guys at all?
I didn't know them
at all.
Chris was at the top of the list. He was the dream candidate, and you know, I mean, he wouldn't admit that, but you know, he accepted the job, but Bill always had in mind hiring someone that had the experience and the bandwidth to ultimately run all of our operations.
Yes. What was that process like, the application process, and just getting interviewed and all that stuff? What was that like?
So
we met for a beer.
Process, yeah. I mean, it was. I met with Bill and Steve first, downtown Spartanburg Airport.
Okay. Oh wow! Okay.
For about 2.5 hours.
All right.
Just,
Why the airport?
Great meeting room at the time.
Oh, we didn't have an office.
We didn't have an office.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, that makes sense. No place to meet, so let's go there.
It was a nice, quiet meeting space.
Yeah.
So, but had a great conversation with them, and that got me excited. You know, having known about Willy Taco and knowing what they were looking for.
Right.
So, you know, and at the time I was, like I said, I was employed and doing well, but
Right.
just wanted to.
Your day-to-day
for something else.
At Applebees, what are you doing day to day there as a job? What's that?
I was
I have no idea what that
it was
consists of.
role would be like a regional manager. So I'm between Greenville and Charlotte.
All right. Are you just watching dashboards all the time, seeing numbers, or are you
In restaurants.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're
in
going to the
restaurants.
restaurants and touching them and seeing how people are doing.
Yeah. Mainly, you know, building relationships with the leadership and
Okay.
you know, training and development.
That's in the car driving all over the place, I guess.
It's a lot of miles.
A lot of miles. Yeah.
A lot of miles.
That is fascinating. So you get this crazy
And have been doing that for some time with them. But yeah, met with Bill and Steve. You know, left that meeting, felt great about it. Went home, told my wife, you know, hey.
Had you told her yet that you had an interview?
I did.
Okay.
Came home and told her that, you know, if things work out,
Looks
you know,
good.
I'd like to work with these guys. And then, you know, Bill and Steve had the idea, hey, you know, we'd like for you to meet the rest of the team. Yeah,
That's good
absolutely.
stuff.
We'd love to
Yeah.
meet with them.
Okay.
So let's meet at Mellow Mushroom in Spartanburg over a beer.
Okay.
And you know, while that sounds great, you know, when you're seeking, you know, employment with a team, it's the most nerve-wracking beer in your life, right? I mean, you don't enjoy it. You sit there and you're like, it's making me worse because normally we're having drinks with friends. The lowering of inhibitions means they're having more fun. The lowering of inhibitions mean like, I'm gonna say something stupid. This is not good. So I'm just like, just sipping. You know, they're just like. Having a good old time. But I thought it, you know, again, I thought it went well and really enjoyed getting to know them. And again, it was just, you're just meeting people on the surface, but you know, you don't really get to know people yet.
Right.
Was impressed with the team to see, you know, like kind of how Kenneth explained earlier, you know, each partner. You know, one thing that I think is really neat is each partner worked in the business, right? They not were just partners, but they were full-time employees.
Right.
And so that was really interesting because that's not how a lot of restaurants operate. You know, even some of your smaller groups. But so you know, after that meeting, really again enjoyed my time, and then the following day came actually here when this was. Under construction and spent some time with Eric Holman, who's one of our partners, and you know, just spent a couple hours with him, had lunch with him, got to see the space, just again spend some more time, and again.
I will say too
visit.
that Eric reported back to us that Chris stopped by the very next day at the construction site and seemed really interested.
Was that an invitation to come by the construction site, or did you just come?
No, it was an invitation.
I was hoping you.
I wasn't
that
hoping
ballsy.
you were just no. But it was one of those. Yeah, it was one of those. Hey, you know, I'm going to be at the site tomorrow. You want to stop by? Well, I made sure of it.
Yeah. I'm just in the area. Yeah.
That's right.
Just passing by Lawrence Road. Yeah.
That's right. I got a friend I got to go bail out of jail, and I'll just swing by there.
Yeah,
it's fine.
exactly.
We had the fried chicken at Spink's.
Just
So
it's
really not bad.
Pretty delicious.
It's not
delicious. We used to come. There was
or the Philly cheesesteak at Zorba's. I mean,
oh yeah.
so good.
We used to come over here and get like a milkshake there's a, I don't know if it was over here. I can't remember as a kid. My dad had my stepdad had a grocery store on this side of town that was it catered to like a poor demographic, or the same demographic as my family, but and we'd always come by here, and there was like a place to get like a milkshake over here, and we'd come in here, and my stepdad would be getting stuff in here all the time. This place
At the Feed and Seed.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot of neat stories since opening, and while under construction, people stopping to visit and sharing with us.
I talked to somebody the last day or two that knew the lady that owned this place. I think he did. Yeah. Oh, it was a guy. His name's Kyle McMacken. He sells insurance in Fountain Inn. I think he does her insurance, like her health insurance or something. Cool. He knew the lady that.
Well, that
this
was
place for like 40-something years, I guess, right? Or 50
that was
years.
one of the alluring things about the space is we knew that it had a strong sentimental attachment to the community, and that everyone had a story about going to the Feed and Seed as a young person in this area. You know, it's an iconic landmark.
This place has a very special place for my family now. Yeah. This Willy Taco. I'm gonna start crying. When my wife and we got pregnant, and when we went to the OB or the girl doctor, and when we got word that we'd lost the baby, we came here and drank tequila at the bar for a couple hours, and we'd come here after our other two boys. When we go get the ultrasound, we come up here and drink tequila, and so it's like this. It's a really special place for our family.
That's amazing.
So it still has sentimental value, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Sorry to hear that.
It's crazy how that happens with a whole lot of people that you just don't know about. But
we've been there.
Yeah, it was hell, and we left Dr. Bodwin's office, and we're like, what are we gonna do? You know, it's like, and my wife was like, let's go to Willy Taco, let's have tequila. My wife's an industry person, so like, or she was an industry person, and that's how I met her. So she has that wild gene. Yeah. Sorry, honey. She has that wild gene in her, and so when the shit hits the fan, it's always let's go get some tequila. And so this was a good spot. We sat in the corner over there, and so it's a good space. So. What's unexpected about a second location?
So meanwhile, I'm holding down the fort in Spartanburg, and I'm running the Spartanburg.
You're getting better at this. They're getting better at this job.
We're grooving. We're grooving. I'm getting better.
Yeah.
You know, I'm learning. We're all learning. Our team is just getting better and better. That the culture is growing and taking root. And I stay back, and then Chris. With his team, and then my team at the time of equity partners, are focused on Feed and Seed, but largely it's Chris's leadership is making this place come together.
And how long from like I guess idea to opening the doors? How long does that take?
It took 18 months, I think.
Yeah.
Is that how long you're on the job? Is 18 months before they open the doors?
He hung out with us in Spartanburg for 6 months, 4 months, 6 months, and then it was time to.
So you leave Applebees and go to the Spartanburg spot, work there. Are you kind of doing manager stuff?
Helping support
shadowing,
Kenneth run the restaurant.
Yeah,
okay.
And he's slowly bringing his team together that's going to be the leadership of Feed and Seed, and they're all doing the same. They're spending time in Spartanburg and getting to understand the culture and the menu, and so basically Chris's assistant managers spent really good quality time with us.
Where did those people come from? Where did you find those initial rock star kind of people?
Some of them are people that I've known over the years that I've had the opportunity to work with.
Okay.
Some of which are still working with us now.
Right.
The gentleman who runs our Boiling Springs Willy Taco, Keith Perkins.
Okay.
He was one of the first that I reached out to and said, hey, I want to talk to you about something. And he turned me down at first, but thankfully came to visit at Spartanburg and saw what we were doing. So, and then there's others, we're just typical, you run a job ad and you meet folks and, just spend a lot of time meeting people and, just trying to find the good fit for what, what it is that we're trying to do. So it's...
So when you finally roll up the doors here, what's it like?
Well, again, don't ask me because I was in Spartanburg. But,
what's it like? When they roll up the doors, what's it like? I mean, like, what?
Well, similar to, I'll share with you, similar to on a little bit smaller scale because Spartanburg was established, but, opening Spartanburg and hearing Kenneth's story about it's kind of an unproven concept in a town that you're not sure is going to take it well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
One of the unknowns for us was Willy Taco is a Spartanburg-based concept run and owned by Spartanburg people, and here we are, in Greenville, which is, while Spartanburg is growing, and we're happy to be a part of that growth and proud of Spartanburg. When you look at the two on the food scene at the time that we opened this restaurant, it's like,
it's country come to city.
It's country
come to the feeding city.
Yeah,
that's right. It's kind of like we belong here with we're in the heavy hitters now in Spartanburg. It's a different, But and the other side of it was, do people in Greenville like a Southern Tide taco? It's like, does it travel?
Yeah.
And so day one we knew it did. We were fortunate that our reputation had spread from the small location to Spartanburg, had spread to Greenville. A lot of people that we saw the first week we were open were talking about, man, we've been waiting for y'all to open. We're tired of driving to Spartanburg to eat Willy Taco. So that was just, it was, so there was the, okay, is this we think this is going to work, right?
And when the announcement was made, our good friend Steph Burnett helped us write this announcement that hit the pages of the Greenville Journal. And it absolutely went viral on social media. I think at the time, it was one of the most popular, if not the most popular piece written in the Journal about a restaurant opening. So that was definitely...
There was definitely pent-up demand here, right? It's like,
you got to be careful not to get too excited about that at the time because it's... That's cool, but we would need to make sure there's butts and seats to pay the bills because it's a big building and we got big bills to pay. And but no, when we rolled up the doors, it was a lot of work.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun. We just anytime we open a restaurant, it's a lot of hours. It's a brand new team.
Yep.
And
what was the toughest part of that process? What were things that you didn't expect?
We didn't expect to be welcomed as we were. We were just super fortunate that people wanted to come and see us, and so we weren't expecting quite that, but we adapted quickly, and in our industry, you can muscle it for so long, right? So when we opened and we're fortunate a lot of people wanted to come and see us. You just end up, hey baby, I'm gonna be late again tonight. It's just one of those things, so you just kind of roll up your sleeves and you work through it. And we did that for many months. And then we were really fortunate that we attracted a really strong team just to open the restaurant. And again, hats off to the original team that created a reputation of a great place to work, because when we opened, we had Willy Taco type people right out the gate, which was really neat. You heard Kenneth talk about how they had to kind of transform a little bit, and after the initial. So we were fortunate with that. Had some really good people.
Did y'all bring people from over the other restaurant over to here at times, or just
to help train? To help train, we did
for training.
But we want to employ people in our communities. It's something. In terms of as we grow, that's something that really gets us excited.
And one thing we couldn't do is jeopardize kind of the only proven commodity that we had that was in Spartanburg. That was what was paving the way for all of this from a dollars and cents standpoint, from a reputation standpoint. So we were careful not to mess with that.
Yeah. Fascinating. So, as a group, what's the feeling as
when this other one opens up? Or is it like hell yeah, or is it oh no, or?
Oh, we're proud. We're extremely proud, and Spartanburg was very proud. And a lot of us from Hub City came to the preview party that we had, kind of the friends and family, and just really celebrated with our new Greenville friends. And a lot of us could be seen as paying guests during the opening days of Feed and Seed, and it was just really exciting times. Just a great next step for us.
What went wrong? What went wrong behind the scenes? Like, is there anything that y'all are like, oh man, that just crap that built on it, or just always fascinated by it?
Well, I mean, one of the challenges that Chris and his team were up against was, I mean, we were bursting at the seams in Spartanburg, but they were literally doing twice the volume. I mean, it was just.
And that completely unexpected. Yeah. Yeah. He didn't want to say yeah, but yeah.
No, it was definitely unexpected.
One of the things that I read or listened to or something, hearing you talk about when the second place opened, just like we were just up to our ears and everything. I don't remember exactly what you said, but it seemed like it was an unexpected, like, whoa, we've got a lot to do here. A lot of people, a lot of fire. Not fire in a bad way, but fire in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting serious. It's getting real.
Yeah.
Honestly, looking back on that time, it's
like a good problem,
we didn't
right?
we didn't. I think, again, something that's neat about our group is that we're all, I mentioned earlier, we're all employees of the business, but we're also experienced, right? With the exception of maybe one partner who hadn't been necessarily within the four walls of a business as outside of a guest. So we're all experienced restaurant people, running at that time 2 restaurants. So, when you say what went wrong, I mean, we just had to shift. We had support from the other partners were here. I mean, from the moment we opened to the moment we closed, it's all hands on deck. It's let's all chip in. It wasn't, you're not getting phone calls saying, hey, how's it going? You're saying, hey, how you doing? What can I help you with? Because of course I'm beet red, sweat pouring down my face, and this is like, and then we also, we thought we had an expectation to do, a modest level of business because it's a big building, right? Because there's so many seats, you hope to fill them up. So we did hire a pretty large leadership team for the restaurant. Okay. So, when we opened and it was maybe busier than expected, it wasn't something that we were just.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean,
clearly
obviously.
the chips weren't the.
Yeah. That was dynamite, man.
The chips have a hard time competing with the burger.
Right.
It wasn't. We didn't have like this skeleton crew that were like, holy crap, we need to hire like 30 more people. It was like we had a lot of people here that could handle it. So it was just like, hey, we just need to add a little more load to it, to the heavy lifting. And so,
when do y'all come up for air? When does, or ever?
No, we did. I mean, every restaurant has that, what we call in the industry the honeymoon period, where everybody wants to check out the new restaurant. And then with us, we have this beautiful parking lot. We had this kind of phenomenon where people would drive by and say, not today, let's try it another day, not today. So it kind of extended that honeymoon period for us. So I'd say we were kind of in the thick of it for about 9 months after opening. And then things started to feel like we're doing in our business, the level of business is very predictable for us. You can look at prior year sales and do a pretty good job of predicting what you're going to do the next year. Of course, the last 2 years, throw all that out the window. But historically, so then along with understanding the seasonality and saying, okay, what did you do last Tuesday? Then you kind of know what you're going to do this Tuesday. So about after that time, it started to get normal for us. We're like, okay, this is kind of what a day-to-day will feel like working here.
Speaking of coming up for air, we're closed on Mondays, and we have been since day one. So that was kind of really important to us because it was, the one day. Unfortunately, folks in management usually don't have that morning off, but the general staff does. It's the one day they can count on.
I came by here 3 or 4 weeks ago. Me and a buddy of mine, well, co-counsel of me, lost a hearing up at courthouse, and I was like, let's go to Willy Taco and have a beer. And we came pulled in, and y'all were closed. We went to our home team, but I was like, that sounds.
We empathize just because I only crave Chick-fil-A on Sundays. We crave Willy Taco on Monday.
That's right.
It is what it is. But it really does allow the entire team, to even include the support team, the equity partners, that Sunday night finish line, to just take a breath and knowing you got a little break. And it really, it's amazing, having been in a business for 25 years that was 7 days a week, where you just never really get a break. Even on, you get days off, but in terms of the businesses being closed Monday, it's nice to know our operators, this isn't going to ring.
Yeah.
We're not going to call you.
There's no shit hitting the fan on a Monday, which is a great thing to be able to, look at books or look at KPIs or everything. Going back to what you said a minute ago, as a new restaurant, when do you get to the point of the predictability? Like, instead of well, it's June now. Last June we did this. When you don't have last June to gauge it on, how do you? So how is that just a feel? Is that feeling or?
Yeah, I mean, you start to see trends.
Okay.
You just, as you look, you just look back at prior sales until you have a year to look over, and then it's really a year and 3 months, because you got to, your typical honeymoon period.
Right.
Then you can start to.
So we're looking at 3 months would be what you'd be in the business would think of a honeymoon period, right? So you get 3 months through. So when you get to that 9-month mark of kind of what we said, being able to get your head above water a little bit, at that point in time, that this place has caught, I guess, a good breeze that it's gonna maintain itself. Is that?
Yeah, we were fortunate. We were doing what we were doing.
I'm just fascinated about. I'm just trying to think when you're killing it while you're working, you're not quite sure in that first few months, is this going to last? Are we gonna? And I'm just fascinated about when that point comes of okay, we got our head above water, we're okay. Now, is it still going to continue enough to be viable, right? Just interesting to.
Yeah.
That's thinking about that, right?
But again, though, you open with just a huge honeymoon, and depending on how good you operate, it really depends on how long that period will last, right?
Right.
It could be a month, it could be 6 months, but then you do see a downtick that occurs because, again, you're all learning, right? And maybe folks don't come back for a while because they checked you out and maybe didn't have the best experience or whatever. The newness kind of wears off. And then you do gradually, hopefully starting in year 2, or year 3. I mean, you start to really tick up based on merit, right? Based on hard work and you're striving for excellence, and you get back to those opening sales figures, hopefully. But then you're doing that as a byproduct of just daily focus, right? So you're really too lost in executing all these details that it requires to think, we finally made it, or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think something that's common with folks like ourselves is you never really stop to say, okay, we're good.
right.
You're always after it.
That's true.
And it's not that you're never satisfied.
Yeah.
We're celebrating wins along the way.
Right.
We just know that this shift today, if it goes bad, which it could, any shift can go bad, then we're responsible for all of the impressions that we created for all of our guests today if things went bad, right? So you're constantly working, you're constantly trying to get better. In our industry, it's if you're not getting better, nobody stays stagnant. You're either getting better or you're getting worse.
Yeah.
And so it's we're always, again, we're proud of our team.
Yeah.
We're happy that people like to come to work every day,
Right.
but it's
I fight that in my business. my business is, we have peaks and valleys because I operate on 100% contingency fee. So, a car wreck case comes in the door, I don't get paid on it for a year and a half. But when you have a big lick, it's like, probably feels like a crazy Sunday night, right? And then you're like, you try to minimize how long, and for y'all, like Monday, how long Monday lasts, right? Like you get a big lick, you're like,
all right,
woo!
Right, yeah.
And next thing you know, it's been like a week or two, and that's what you're saying. Like, if you're not getting better, you're definitely getting worse.
Yeah.
And that's a constant fight for me, as someone who, is trying to stay motivated to work when a big lick comes in, or I can appreciate that. That's, man, so the food and bev industry just fascinates me.
Yeah, us
Just
too.
the speed and the dedication that y'all have to all this stuff, and just
And you got to be so consistent as
Yeah.
well.
And you gotta love it. This
love it.
is we don't. People who are in our industry and opening restaurants, and we get it. People who are not in our industry who want to open restaurants, it's kind of like, hey, just I'd love to bend your ear for an hour, and just kind of let you know what you sign up for, right? I mean, because it's a wonderful business. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't see myself doing anything else. But if you don't love the business, you have to love hospitality. You have to love food. You have to love training
risk.
people.
There's a risk too. Like, man, you gotta love risk.
You also have to love, a little chaos, right? I mean, it's and that's something that draws, like our leadership team is they're good at, kind of conflict resolution, chaos, putting out fires, and while we want to keep those bad things from happening, it's just something that they naturally gravitate to and are really good at. And it's a very interesting industry, and it's cool.
I have one industry job. I worked at Old Country Buffet.
Oh man,
Nice.
On Woodruff Road when I was a kid. I was like the waiter / busboy / whatever thing, and the thing I remember about that job was they had the trash cans at the end of like the little like dolly thing, right? It had a spatula, like this rubber spatula thing attached to the trash can. So you'd have the thing and whack, and then you slick the thing down. Like that's
Nice.
I don't know why that sticks out in my mind. But that's like my only food and bev job. And then I spent, like I said earlier, like I spent years and years and years and years and years and years and years on the other side of the bar, and I can appreciate what you just said a minute ago about the people that love the business. And I've been being served by folks like y'all for so long. I know it's got to be a love, or it'd be hell. I can't. I mean, and when I hear people that are not food and bev people are like, I think I got a restaurant idea. I'm like, I don't think.
Yeah,
this
and
is
not to say they won't be successful.
Yeah.
It's just understanding that it's an investment that requires your work too.
a lot of sweat.
and the margins are pretty small comparatively,
Right.
And there are a lot of horror stories out there. I mean, there are a lot of stories of 100-hour work weeks and just sheer chaos. And I mean, for a lot of folks, it can be a really horrible professional existence. But we can't really relate to those.
Y'all had a
stories,
great.
we can relate to the hard work.
That first restaurant with that team that y'all put together, it just speaks volumes to those, because like most of the time it would have been like me and you and a buddy that started, who could cook good, your brother, right?
Right.
Start a restaurant, right? Like, and you having those, like Bill and those guys around y'all, has got to be it's probably why y'all are
Amazing team.
Yeah, amazing team to be able to. And I like the fact that everybody's like also employees of the business too, where you got people are not just showing up to grab a cocktail and
Right.
here's the silent guy or whatever that a lot of places have.
And listen, and that works for some. That's
Yeah.
just we.
It's a
This
neat
is-
way
this
to
is
look.
what
I mean,
works
it's a neat
for
way to do
us.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You also, I think, you don't have. I saw the silent person in some places down in Charleston that would come in, that would have a tendency to kind of, what's the right word? Monopolize the restaurant at times, or part of the staff at times when they would bring big parties in to different restaurants, and that was always like an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we don't have that guy.
Yes, yeah. That's a big money guy.
We go into our restaurants, we pay.
Yeah.
We tip our servers.
Yeah.
We treat people the way we want to be treated.
What was interesting about that dynamic was that it wasn't just. I'm sure he was paying. I mean, probably paying. I don't know, but it was just the way that the whole restaurant was in this like tizzy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so and so was in the corner with 8 people.
I
or
would
6
honestly
people.
say, in the experiences that Kenneth and I have had together, my family and I have had together, I think we just come from a place of, if something goes wrong with my plate, the first thing I think of, well, thank God it was me and not.
Right.
That's
the
exactly
guest.
right. Yeah.
And let me just see if I can do a redirect real quick with one of the leadership team members. Say, hey, just keep an eye on this, because maybe this didn't come out right. I think that's how we look at it.
Yeah. That's awesome.